Welcome back, everybody, to another production meeting. We are all back. I'm excited. Today we get to talk about robots and other stuff. How's it going, you guys?
Good, good. Uh, what have I done this week? Is usually our
Nobody asked
first.
you.
Oh,
It's okay, but I'm still going to. Everybody asked me.
shots
I've
fired.
watched the Homework, Valiant One, and I'm towards the end of Stellar Blade, and that's it. I haven't caught up anymore on Castlevania. I'm tempted to just go back and get my brother into it and just start over with him. So we'll see. Um, I haven't done much other than that. Well, okay, and that's not completely the truth because I tried to go watch Dogman earlier today just for the heck of it because I had the time, and two things were against me. One, because I wasn't able to get to sleep last night, as I was mentioning to you guys before, or I could get to sleep. I just was like waking up at like 2 a.m. and then I just was like I can't fall back asleep. It was like 6 or 7 in the morning before I like truly nodded back off, and then went to go watch Dogman. And not only was I just nodding off in the middle of that movie, we have now, and Brian probably has this at his theater, where after a certain amount of time, the if there's no sold tickets, the theater or the it just turns off. So apparently, a reserved seat, even though it has not been paid for, um, does not count as a sold seat. So the movie just shut off while I was in the middle of it, like probably a half hour in, and I was like, okay, that's just a sign that I need to just go home. So, so I've watched 30 minutes ish of Dogman, and it was 30 minutes of yeah, a kids movie. I don't know if I need to go further. Probably not. But that's the summation of everything I've done since our last video. So, but what about you guys?
Right?
I watched the Homework, and then I watched the movie Carry On Netflix.
Oh, I'm
And I
sorry.
know it's 2024 movie, but I really didn't like it, so I felt like talking about it. But really, because like I thought the setup was all right, and it was getting going, and I was enjoying it. And Taron Egerton's American accents, all right. It's like I think it was the first time I've been like, wow, he sounds English doing American. Um, And then somewhere in that movie making process, somebody was like, hey, make this really stupid and really outgoing and really action packed and really bad all at once. Like halfway through, it just gets so bad and it never gets better. I didn't enjoy it. I don't care if critics like it. Uh, it just feels like another Netflix movie. Easy 4 out of 10 for me. Don't watch the
Wow.
movie Carry On.
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
I was I was saying I'm sorry. So I would come back to that movie maybe like we were like randomly, what do you want to watch? And I was like, well, maybe Carry On. And this was like just a couple weeks ago or so, so well after Christmas. And then as soon as it like has the Christmas kind of tie to it, I just was like, I'm not in the mood for a Christmas-ish seasonal movie. So I'm like, I'm already checking out. So I didn't care about it.
Hey, if it helps, the only thing that makes it a Christmas movie is the Christmas music.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from what bits I saw, who is it? Jason Bateman?
Yeah, he's all right, except for the fact that his character's an idiot later. It's like
Yes.
it's just a movie that is so much more focused on being a Die Hard-esque ripoff than being its own movie. And I don't know, maybe the movie Rebel Rage has set a high bar for being like another movie but doing it different. So it's like I really like Rebel Rage and I really like First Blood, and they are very much the same
Um,
and also very much not at all the same. And that is
Mhm.
the coolest thing about that movie is that they're like, what if we did this but different? It's not putting that movie down, but it's not doing the same thing. This is like, oh yeah, we're doing. It's a guy and he's got relationship issues, and he's a bad guy, and he's a terrorist, and it's Christmas, and he's got to talk over the radio, and it's an isolated setting, and his girl's going to be involved, and she's going to be like a hostage, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I've seen this movie before, but then they're like, situationally, it doesn't work with what they want to do. But instead, they're like, oh, but they're gonna be on a plane and they're gonna have a one-on-one fight, and the runway chases and car crashes, and I'm like, you are not this type of movie, but trying so hard to be. And that's the Netflix algorithm for you.
Cool.
Hmm.
This has been my
Um,
TED Talk.
um, I watched the homework, and I'm keeping up with Severance, which is awesome, and Harley Quinn, which is awesome. So
Hmm.
no bad things from here. Um, I unfortunately did not get any news, but our good friend Ryan has gathered us some news this week. So,
Say
Ryan,
no more.
say whenever you're ready, sir.
Guys, did you know that all these movie trailers are going to drop this Sunday for the Super Bowl, except that they're all online already right now, and it's really confusing?
I kept thinking that today. I was like, but these were supposed to be next week.
I know. I my favorite article I saw this morning was like new Jurassic World trailer drops this Sunday. Watch now. And I'm like, what does that mean to you? Like, what does the title of your article mean to you? Um, but I picked out four of note. If you guys have a couple more to that
Sure.
we can briefly talk about, we can. Two of them I think are not worth talking about, but I picked them out because I would like to officially remove Megan 2.0 from my anticipated movies of the year. For the weirdest teaser trailer I've ever seen. I hate it. I'm not looking forward to the movie anymore. Of course, it's coming out on my birthday, but
Oh yeah.
it's also coming out against 28 years later. So I don't know why that's happening.
Hmm.
But hey, Megan 2.0 trailer. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about just a dancing robot.
I
Dancing robot.
have no like. I thought the first Megan was dumb. I think it was, not to. I think it was a like right place, right time as far as like it garnered a lot of social media attention,
Yeah.
and it just was a, not to call it a fad, but basically it felt like a fad,
Well,
and
I
yeah,
agree
that's
that it kind of feels like one now. Because like I liked the movie, but this makes me wonder if they're just like capitalizing on it because yeah, the dance, everyone loved that and like the vibe and the sassy tone. And I'm like, that was not the thing that was good. I mean, it was okay, but like that was not why people liked. I guess maybe it is why people liked the movie. I liked it because it had some interesting social commentary,
right.
But yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
and I don't know if you guys are Final Destination fans. I'm not really. I watched the first two, but there's a new Final Destination trailer, and it's just a guy dying dramatically for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. So I pulled it up, and I was going to talk about it, but there's literally nothing else that happens in the trailer than that. So now to the real trailers. I'm going to go a day out of order here. We got a Jurassic World Rebirth trailer. What do you guys think about?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that sorry, that was my review of it.
I don't disagree with you. I barely finished this trailer. It's like,
I
they're
It's a,
hunting us. And I'm like, yeah, dinosaurs. Dinosaur things. Going to the island and there's big dinosaurs. Cool.
it's a
we're
Jurassic World thing, I
we're
guess.
not treading any new ground here.
We're not.
I know. I know. And then there's like a comment in this trailer where like one of them is like, well, this was the test site. How many test sites did they have? Didn't there like six of them now?
A second copy of the second test site
Why?
to paraphrase a Grand Budapest Hotel quote there, but
Yeah, because wasn't like Lost World on the other island, like another island that they
yeah,
had that was like this is where they
Isla
grew up.
Sorna, or yeah, Isla Sorna is what Lost World and Isla Nublar is the first one. And
Right.
I'm like, is this Isla Tricolar? Like
Probably.
Isla seventh movie, seven
Yeah.
in something
And then
language.
like is it dry like so and then three was like on a different island as well, wasn't it? Or is it on the same one from Lost World?
Three was on the first one, I think, because they're like going through the like nostalgic locations. Wait, I don't even know which one three was on. I've seen the movie way more than I should have.
Yeah, same.
I actually like that
I've
one. I
seen
like it one better than the
It's
second
all
one.
right. Yeah.
I've seen only 1 and 3 randomly.
So
Look up.
yeah, I think so. Okay, so this is what I think. So the first one takes place on the one island, Isla Sona, right?
Yes. You're
And then 2 and 3 takes place on Isla Nublar, right?
yeah.
And
You're
then
right because Grant is like, I don't know this place. And they're like, yeah,
right,
you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, no, I don't.
No, completely different island.
Yeah.
Okay, and then like then Jurassic World takes place back on Isla Sonar because then they they redo the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like on the other side of the island or whatever. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't watched the other two, last two, so I could care less.
Clint, let me tell you. Clint, let me tell you. In the second movie, there is a gun that points a laser that shoots a dinosaur from it, essentially.
No, thank
And
you.
I'm like, if you have a gun that has a laser sight to take a dinosaur on somebody, but you have to be line of sight, you have the most inefficient firearm in the history of existence. You can just shoot someone with a bullet. And that is a major plot of the movie is this gun that shoots a dinosaur.
No, thank you.
Great score though. Second best score in the entire series.
Wow.
Giacchino does so good in that movie. And it's such a bad movie.
Oh. Yeah, but like this one, like again, like this one is just like you said, it's just like another rehash of other plot points that they had from different movies, and like, but this one has Scarlett Johansson, I guess, with she's a badass with a gun. Which,
Yeah.
if she's gonna do that, she might as well have stayed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean,
Is that a segue I hear to
oh, it could be.
rehash and Marvel Cinematic
Yeah,
Universe?
that's right.
Well, guys, we got this trailer for this Fantastic Four First Steps movie, and I don't even feel qualified to really to weigh in. Do you guys watch this trailer?
I
I did.
did. Um,
Clinton probably has the most pivotal opinion. I'll just barrel through mine. I thought it was good. I'm just cautiously optimistic because it's way into the MCU. So I mean, I liked it. I'm hopeful for it, and there's a lot of people online pointing a lot of comic accuracies, like oh that's good, that's good, that's good. So I'm optimistic. I'm cautious, but I'm optimistic. But yeah, Clint, go ahead.
yeah, I did like the comic book accurate like the costumes are pretty close to like their original ones. Um, all the little kind of like nuances that they had in like the 60s, and I do like the 60s aesthetic that they have going on. And then the Galactus at the end. I don't know if you can spoil the trailer, but like that's how he's supposed to look. He's not supposed to be like some dark cloud like moving through space or whatever. So, I am cautiously optimistic as well. Like the thing looks really good. I think that he looks like he should, instead of like the rubber masks that Michael Chiklis was wearing. I mean, it's not really Chiklis's fault, but I do think that this is a lot more comic book accurate and stuff. And um, I'm kind of curious in like how they're going to do Silver Surfer since it's very gender swapped. Now, there is a gender swapped Silver Surfer in the comic books, so it's not really swapping them out. But I'm kind of curious and like to see like how people are going to react and how she looks. I guess that doesn't sound creepy. Hopefully, she's silver and on a surfboard, I guess.
It's a very specific look for the character, so I think
Right.
it's an interesting point to bring up.
Yeah. So I'm glad that Galactus is not like some dark cloud like I'm glad that they're actually making it look like how he's supposed to look in the books. So
You know, it's just a shadow, right? Could actually be just a dark cloud shaped in.
no, don't ruin it right.
Oh,
But yeah, I thought it was good.
good, cool. You guys have any other trailers that I might have missed there? I was trying to catch them. I know next week we'll probably have several.
Why
Nope.
do
I
I
think
feel
we
like
got them.
another one dropped?
I have the same feeling as well, but I can't recall. I keep thinking we didn't already talk about Final Destination, but we did. So I
I
think that
mean,
I
we can weigh in more, but I've only watched the first two out of like six or something. I don't know.
I'm good because I've watched maybe one of them and I don't even know which one I watched.
Yeah, I'm all
So
good.
yeah.
No more trailers.
But was there any other news that
Well, I
came
got
up?
some news. I got some
Okay.
news. So I started this between movies and TV. One of these is a little older than usual, but I was kind of curious to hear if you guys had any thoughts. Sony announced a couple movies, including a Horizon Zero Dawn, Helldivers, and well, those two are movies, and a Ghost of Tsushima anime series. That all sounds pretty cool to me. I don't know anything about Helldivers actually, but
I know I don't really know anything either. I just know that it sold really, really well last year. Yeah, I don't know about that. The Horizon is it's just a movie, right? Because we've known about that for a little bit.
well, I
Um,
thought it was the same thing as Netflix's series that they were doing, but apparently
oh,
it's actually not the same as the like prequel series Netflix is doing. So apparently we might be getting the Netflix Horizon series and the Horizon Zero Dawn movie if one of those ever happens first. These are announcements. So every time we get to this a year from now, we're like, this movie was canceled.
Yeah,
This
right.
movie
yeah.
lost its director.
When it comes to Horizon, I'm like perplexed because I've played both. The original is better to me, and I like what is it, Forbidden West. I did not play the expansion. It was too far removed from like when I initially played my first playthrough, so I was like, I don't feel like going back. Not to say that it's bad, but it's like Sony. This isn't. I don't know how to explain my thoughts. Sony thinks that this is like a complete slam dunk franchise, and I mean for the most part, it's made money. I don't know why it doesn't feel that way. And it feels like they're saturating that IP almost way more than they probably ought to by now. It's like maybe you had Mario Brothers 1 and then yeah, that's great. But then they like make film adaptation, blah, 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 like within like the first 2 years of its existence. That just kind of it feels what's happening. So maybe that's a good comparison. Like maybe it'll be like a really great game, like in the hall of history of games and stuff. As far as Tsushima, that's an excellent choice. A is it a live action series or an anime series
It's an
instead?
anime series, not to be confused with the fact that we're still getting a Tsushima movie too.
Both options are great. You can't. I really don't think that you can fail in that. That is a IP worth exploring more, and I'm kind of surprised we don't have anything yet because it's been what little less than 5 years than when it came out initially. When Ghost of Tsushima came out, because I remember that and Last of Us came out in the same like summer,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, and like Tsushima just kind of came out of nowhere and just like swept everybody away. Um,
yeah. I've got
no,
Tsushima at 2020.
yeah, and that was I think it was no, yeah, because it lost out to Last of Us for Game of the Year, which I'm still salty about, but still. Um, I
I
think
really
both
enjoyed both
the
those games.
I mean, they're both great games. I'm just like I think Tsushima coming out of completely nowhere, like Sucker Punch has like a history like of not producing um game of the year games. Like they produce good games. It's just as like that just kind of just took everybody out of like left field and just was like, where did this come from? And so that's why everybody fell in love with it because it just was like it was beautiful. It was like it was literally as their namesake of the studio. It was a sucker punch in a good way. So um the fact that an anime is existing now is absolutely fantastic. I think that can go only in the direction of the whole Castlevania direction, and I'm all for it. And then the fact that a movie, and possibly even a live show adaptation is existing is only good stuff. Because it makes me think of Shogun, and while I haven't watched Shogun, like Clint and other people are just saying that it's a fantastic, watch. And so I'm like, it can't go anywhere but that way. I think Sony, they know what they have and they're not going to mess it up in that. And then, they're speaking of all this, I think they canceled a lot of like different like adaptations of their games, but like for a good reason. Like it's almost like it was overload. Maybe it was they canceled a number of like what do they call it? Live service games too.
Hmm.
Which that's a good thing. That's a great thing actually. That doesn't drive like they canceled the God of War not live action, live service game. And everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, they're canceling their next game. No, no, no. They're canceling live service game, not the next game. Which there's rumors of that too, that the Egyptian mythology is where that's going, and I am all for that. Absolutely. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's like very, very likely because a lot of good leaks are happening from good sources. So, but to go back to the initial point, um, overall, yes, like an A minus, like for everything involved in that like chunk of like what's being adapted. Um, so I will probably be watching regardless. I'm most excited about the anime for Tsushima. So that's all good stuff.
Um, I don't know, Alex. Like I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit. I think that Ghost of Tsushima like anime is probably like the right avenue that they should go.
Mhm.
Because the world is a little bit more expansive than like just a 2 hour, 2.5 hour movie or whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't think that you need to because it's gonna oversaturate because you have the new game coming out, what, this year? And then you have an anime series, and then you have a live action movie, which I think wasn't it supposed to be directed by um,
One of the John Wick crew.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think it was like the first one.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
which is fine, but like I I don't know. Like I just feel like you're gonna oversaturate like things, and then to kind of go back to like Horizon Zero Dawn. I think you kind of have to. For me, like my personal feelings is like you're gonna have to kind of flip the script with it and like do a series with that
Mhm.
because um like an open world game like that is just going to be so much to try and pack into again another 2 hours. And I mean, I know that Tsushima is like an open world game as well, but at least with Tsushima, you kind of have like this straightforward like game, like all the side missions and stuff like that do interact with like what you're doing within the game, but at least with the game, it's pretty straightforward in what you're supposed to be doing. And with like an open world game like that, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed. Like the more expansive and open world it becomes, the more like stuff like you're gonna try and fit into a 2 hour movie is just a lot.
Yeah, I I do think like if I got a movie, I would be happy, but like at the same time, I'm like I'm more than happy to. I think I think both would be good in a TV series. I think Horizon, yeah, you get to explore kind of the world the way it was before it got into the state that it's currently in now. Like how it's become all like a primitive, but at the same time, very high advanced world. So I think exploring that and like the origins, that would be really good because that's honestly what made number one way interesting to me. Whereas two, it was missing that, in my opinion. Not that it's a bad game again. It's just like I just prefer number one. I think is it's just a new, sequel syndrome for Forbidden West. Um, the most exciting thing, again, is the anime, in my opinion. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah,
cool.
Did you guys watch Squid Game?
Yes.
Well, apparently season 3 is coming out June 27th.
June.
So
Yay.
that's much sooner than I expected. I haven't
of
even
of
finished
this
Well,
year.
season 2 yet of this
yep.
year. So they just released some first images. And jumping from Netflix to Netflix, We got some stills from Wake Up Dead Man and Frankenstein, which I guess is also going to be on Netflix this fall. So immediately going to replace Megan 2.0 with Frankenstein now that Frankenstein is slated. Because I think I said last time I wouldn't put it unless it was locked in. Well, pretty locked
There it
in.
is.
So
Didn't they drop
um,
some other? Oh, that's right. They did. They dropped the Devil May Cry series teaser. It's very much a teaser. It's supposed to be dropping on April 3rd.
huh,
Excited for that. Not gonna lie.
are you going? Oh
They
yeah, that was the other one that was new. You even
yeah.
posted that.
Um, they also did. Speaking of Netflix, they did like a 21-second like peek at season 2 of Wednesday, I think.
I
Guess.
think you're right. I think you're right on that.
Which I
No,
mean the first season wasn't bad. It wasn't like, but it was a little bit. I kind of like after like I watched it after like her comments about like the love triangle and stuff like that, and it's not really fitting like the Wednesday character. And then like actually watching the series, you kind of go, yeah, this doesn't fit. Like this doesn't like really fit her character. Now the supernatural and like the mystery aspects of it do fit.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
Sorry.
like attacked by a groundhog. That's
Sorry, that's Atticus. But it does like the love triangle doesn't really fit like with like but all the supernatural stuff and like the mystery things does fit her character. Like just the rest of like the whole love triangle didn't really fit her. So the series wasn't bad. It was just like I hope with the season 2 they do kind of like stay away from that type of stuff and more mysteries, supernatural, Halloweeny stuff.
I want to just throw in my 2 cents of the Knives Out trilogy. I heard somebody, was it somebody? I think it was actually, I was watching Watch Mojo's like most anticipated stuff, and they said Wake Up Dead Man was somewhere in the top five, I think. And I was like, and as they, they announce and then they kind of discuss it, I'm like, because they said, can lightning strike three times in this year? I'm like, my personal opinion, I'm probably in the minority. Lightning never struck anywhere in this. The first one is decent. I like the first one. Let me just explain that. I like how it kind of it shows you kind of the answer already, and then we peel the onion kind of what got us to this point to segue into what is it, glass onion?
Maybe a glass
Yeah.
onion.
Yeah, no, I don't like that one. No, that one I did not. I was like, this is lame. This is all, oh, spoiler. I'm sorry for anybody listening who's either disagrees with me or, spoiler for this, but where she has a twin sister and like she then becomes, I'm like, that's lame. That's so lame. Like if she has a twin sister, go ahead and just throw it out there at the beginning. Don't, I don't know. That I didn't like the second one really at all. So I'm just like, Wake Up Dead Man. I mean, I like Daniel Craig in these. I like how kind of let loose he can be with this. Like he it's I think he probably flourishes in the fact that it's just not James Bond anymore because that was always like so like physically and time consuming. Um so I think he probably enjoys this a lot more. He can just kind of like it's like Clue. It's literally like Clue, and he just can let loose with it a little bit. So I'll still watch it. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm probably getting a lot of disagreement vibes and stares, and like you're wrong, but that's just my 2 cents about it.
I like the first one a lot better than you did, apparently. I think my score was around 8, but I think it was because it was something different and something a little bit more like Clue and a little fun mystery whodunit. I do agree with the second one. And when you said that she has like a twin sister, I completely forgot the whole plot of it. And I guess that's why I didn't
That's
like
all I
it
can
as
remember.
that's yeah, all I remember is them being on an island somewhere. I think. With
Yeah.
I know Kate Hudson was a part of the cast, right?
Uh,
Ed Norton.
Dave,
Edward
Edward
Norton, that's
Norton,
right.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, and I mean, the first one I gave a 7. So, I mean, I thought it was thoroughly interesting. Um, did I love it? No, but it was fun. It's literally what you're saying. It was
Right.
different. I think that's why I liked it too. And I think I got lost at the point where Daniel Craig goes, "That's just really dumb," and then like, "Oh wait, because it's actually really smart." He goes, "No, because it's really dumb," and I'm
But
like,
in the movie's defense, if I'm not mistaken, that means you got lost at like the 2 hour mark, which isn't terrible, isn't too bad.
it isn't terrible. You
Right.
are right there, but still, I'm just like, all right, I literally sit there and I'm ingesting this. I'm like, all right, maybe my answers will get answered. My questions will get answered, and I'm like, either I didn't like the answers or they never did, and I just like Clint. I don't even remember much of it. Like I remember, I'm like, why did she have a twin sister? Why was it important? This and that.
I
Oh,
don't even know who
because
you're
they had,
talking about, to be honest with you.
yeah, yeah. There was some twin sisters somewhere involved, and it just was like,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh well.
So
Well,
Moving
sticking with the
on.
Netflix theme, you guys,
Yay!
do you guys like the first season of Sandman?
Yes.
Because we're not getting a third season of Sandman.
I know, and I hate you, Neil Gaiman. I'm sorry. Like, oh. Ah! Why do most of my idols have to be like gross people? Joss Whedon, now Neil Gaiman.
Kevin Spacey, gosh.
I know, right? Like, and he was gone.
No, I very much enjoyed Sandman, and you know, I'll watch season 2 because I like the show, but I think this was a good call from Netflix.
Oh, completely.
I am completely ignorant. I'm assuming he did some not so nice things, and they're like pulling the plug on everything. Okay,
Not
that
not
was
nice
my
enough to, how there's usually like a little bit of a slippery slope of like learning things. This is
yeah,
like done. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. He's done
Well,
skis.
yeah.
that is super unfortunate.
But on the bright side, we probably won't have to sit through Good Omens season 3. So, um,
Oh, yeah.
But
I
weren't you
I did
telling us
not
that
like
you
season
like
2.
that series?
I really liked
Okay,
the first season,
okay,
and
that's what it was.
then I painstakingly sat through nothing for however many hours the second season is.
Hmm.
So
Like three episodes, 3 or 4
sounds
episodes,
about right. Yeah,
something like that.
Huh.
I know,
it
and
is
that's what I'm saying is like
just nothing.
I was hoping for like before, obviously before all of this, but I was hoping for like one of his books to be actually adapted. It's called The Lake at the End of the Lane. It's a very good book, and that's what's very disappointing about this. Just like, oh, seriously? But whatever.
Hmm. Huh.
Anyway,
Well, some movie announcement news that I don't think the three of us will care about, but Den of Thieves 3 and Terrifier 4 are officially happening. So, if you're a fan of those specific movies, I guess you're probably not surprised because the last one's made money. That's how movies work. So,
Den, Den
um,
of Thieves 2 made money?
it didn't cost that much, and
Oh,
so yeah, it did okay apparently. You know, I would not have thought a runaway like get Dead of Three Thieves 3 off the ground right now would be the answer to what 3 weeks in theaters. But movie's
yeah.
got a movie
Movie's got a
from
movie.
the creation up apparently. Uh, and speaking of movies, got a movie. And this one I think was on the tail end of our last video, but I definitely knew it was going to be probably the biggest thing we discuss. Uh, Matthew Lillard is coming back for Scream 7. And is maybe the most conflicting bit of news we will ever talk about with you guys. So I'm
Really?
curious to hear you guys' thoughts first. Well, I could share mine as well. Um, I really love the Scream franchise, and I really love Matthew Lillard. He's great. I stood in line for a day, and I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately, but it was so worth
Oh,
almost meeting him. I met Skeet Ulrich instead, so and Melissa Barrera. But point being, like, I love Matthew Lillard. He's amazing. So I'm gonna probably really enjoy Seven. But gosh, why can't Seven stick to just being unique? I feel like the movies have built a real identity on just doing whatever they want lately and going back to like, fans want this. And don't announce it. Those are my thoughts.
I am very much probably in the same camp. I probably am super ignorant, but I'm like, didn't he die in the first one? But I know that's speculation. Like, probably he didn't because no, he blah blah blah. So I'm like Ryan. If he's gonna come back at all, just kind of keep that to yourself. Let that be a little surprise nugget in the middle of the movie.
Yeah. Can you imagine we go through the whole? I mean, obviously secrets don't exist in movies anymore, but can you imagine if we sat through like a 2 hour Scream movie and we're like, okay, I think I've got it figured out. And we've got all our suspects of some returning and new characters, and then it's just Matthew Lillard, and we're like, that
Stu's
wasn't an
alive.
option. It's like how I mean, there might be some of this discussion afterwards where we're like, oh, did it have to be? But like the initial reaction would be astonishing, you know? But now it's like, oh, well, it's either going to be him or he's not going to be that important, right? Like,
that's what I think. Sorry to
Hmm.
interrupt you, but that's
no,
that's
you're
what I
good.
think. Because I mean, because like a day before Scott Foley was announced that he was going to come back too, and
I
he was a
had read that.
previous
Yeah,
he was a
I was curious.
previous Ghostface.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the same. I didn't mention it. I didn't see it on the same article that I found this, so I left it out just in case. But if you saw it somewhere, that's probably he's in three,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. He's the only one that was a single killer.
And
He's the
then
only
and then
one that
it's
was
all
a
like,
singular one.
and then it's like announced next week. Jamie Kennedy's coming back for Scream 8. But it
He
can't.
should. He was like the best thing in those first two
I know
movies.
that's I know. I say that as a joke, and I was like, a lot of people, and I think I talked to Matt about that. And I'm sure we've talked about it here, but like that was kind of a big like, ooh, you really shouldn't have done that. He was probably a fan favorite right there. So nah.
But see, and
But
that's why I think that it's not that I don't think that Stu or Matthew Lillard's part is going to be insignificant. I think that he's coming back Randy pre-recorded tape style,
Mm,
where like either I understand like I highly doubt that they're going to try and de-age Matthew Lillard, but I think that like something's going to happen where like he's from the past, or because I mean, if Scott Foley's coming back as like her, what was he like her half brother or something like that? Sorry, spoilers for Scream 3.
no one cares about Scream 3.
I know. But like he's coming back. Matthew Lillard's coming back. I mean, Skeet Ulrich has come back in the last, not the
So true.
last one, right? But like
Yeah.
he got de-aged too, so I don't know. I don't see them. I don't see him like making an announcement unless it was like something that was, I don't know, not that it's not important. I'm trying to, it's hard to explain. Andrew Garfield, like he like denied and denied and denied, and now I don't believe a word that that man says, him showing up in Spider-Man No Way Home. So like if they're gonna allow him to announce this, I'm sure it's something that's part of the story and not like anything important.
it's
But
like
I am excited.
maybe it's like pizza. I mean, pizza's always good, pretty much, but there's bad pizza, but you still enjoy that pizza.
It's
So,
true. I mean, like Scream 3.
oh my gosh, yeah, it's great. I'm not an avid fan of this series, but I'm, I think I've watched every one of them. And Scream 3, in my opinion, is the absolute worst. That is trash.
You know, it's funny is because I know that we've probably had this debate like a few times on this podcast, but like to me, I thought the second one was a little sus. Like
Yes.
I don't know. I thought the third one was a little bit more
The second one
Yeah.
is, I think the second one is best in the context. So it's tough. I agree. I think two and three are kind of weak. I think the
Mm,
second one is best in the context of the fact that it is really sarcastic about Friday the 13th for some reason,
Hmm.
but
mhm.
it's not like it's even within 10 years of that movie's release, or now it's not really watched with that movie. So it's kind of funnier to watch like the over dramatic performances of the villains in that movie being like a film lover and the crazy mom. We're just spoiling the whole Scream franchise while
Right.
we're but
I mean, these movies have been out for a while. Come on
um
now.
but I think you're right, because it's like if I remember like the context of what that movie decided to satire, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like, because I don't know, maybe it's because I don't like Friday the 13th, but you're right. I think it's fairly weak on its own. I think it's probably the worst paced, and it's not as funny as three. Even though three might be less good. I always think three has these like the plot twists where they're related, and I always think that it's a red herring. And then I watch three, and I'm like, oh, they're real. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you know, no terrible movie in that franchise, I think. So that's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
something.
was I was worried that it was actually coming out this year, cause only because I'm like, next year would be the 30th anniversary. So what? And so it is next year. I thought it was later on this year. So good on them
Mm,
for at least doing that.
February, I think.
Yep.
that'd be a cool
Almost
date to shoot for.
literally a year from now.
I'll drive down. I'll drive down and watch with you guys.
Sweet.
Book it.
That is all the news I've got. So, um,
Yay!
with the exception of, I made a joke about the Oscar race being thrown into complete chaos, but I don't have
Oh
an
yeah.
Oscar list in front of me. Just have fun voting for Oscars. Maybe after voting closes, we'll revisit it and you know give a couple updated predictions and see what else
Con
what else Amelia
conclave all
Paris
the
and the
way.
Brutalists can really ruin for themselves.
Yeah, right.
So
All right.
yeah,
All right.
that was all the news I found.
People need to stop putting stuff on Twitter, yo.
They
This
do.
stays
They
out there forever, apparently.
especially my favorite part about it is that this whole one of the things that started this whole downhill spiral for Amelia Perez is a rant against the Oscars. It's like it's so funny. They deserve it, but not for that. Just in general, they deserve having this movie bite them for nominating it 13 times.
Hmm.
All right. We're gonna move on to our movie of the week, which was Companion, starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, and it is about a guy and his girlfriend going up to a nice little house on a lake in the middle of nowhere, and things ensue. Because I can't really get into spoilers because I think that was one of my downplays of this, like my down points of this movie is because they do spoil what she is in the trailer, and I do think that if they would have kept that a little bit more of a secret, I think it would have been a little bit more impactful. Um, However, I'm going to dive into my thoughts. I'm going to right off the bat, Ryan, I know that you're going to disagree with this, but I gave this an 8. I thought this is my favorite movie of the year so far. Yes, it being only January. But I liked it. I like the emotional the emotional abuse aspect of it. I thought Jack Quaid, like them flipping the final girl trope on its head, it was a little bit interesting. And making Jack Quaid, who is usually a very nice guy, into a real kind of douche. Sorry. But I like that aspect. I thought that like there was some twists and turns of the movie, especially halfway through the movie, which we'll get into in spoilers and stuff. Which I literally I was sitting right next to Alex and I was like, oh, like they really did this. Okay. Um, I liked Harvey Gillian. I think that he's gonna be like if he gets more roles like this, I not really like this, but if he gets more roles, I like he'll be big and like any. What We Do in the Shadows fans out there, like this is his time. Like it's a long time coming because I love him in that show and I liked him in this as well. Sophie Thatcher does a very good job with
Mhm.
this. Obviously, Jack Quaid was very good. Um, the only problem I had, like as far as the cast goes, was Rupert Grant. What is his name?
Rupert
Rupert
Friend? Is it just
Friend.
Friend?
Yeah, that's right. We couldn't find a Russian to actually do this. I, like in the process, like the fake mustache and stuff on him, like was a little bit too much. I was like, that's okay. But other than that, like I like this. I thought the script was really good. Pacing of the movie was done very well. And I did like I said, the themes and stuff like that of the movie. So yeah, this is an 8. I think like this is one of my favorite movies of this year so far.
I'll piggyback. Yes, as Clint said, we watched it together, and I sat there going, "This movie's clever. It's multi-layered. Like how we advance the story is like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool, and like, oh, I didn't expect that. Like, it was not like, it was more like, huh, eyebrow raise. I liked it. Jack Quaid, is solid, and I think he's showing his range, and that I think he might have a tendency of being typecasted as like the lovable like kind of guy who's just kind of thrown in a crazy situation and like because that's kind of what Novocaine feels like. That's definitely what The Boys feels like. So and he has that like charming kind of feel to him where he definitely could get like shoehorned into that kind of role. And this shows his range in there. And I not to get into spoilers yet, um, but he was really solid. Um, Sophie Thatcher, excellent job. I think she was the strongest person in there, and I think she had to be, because the whole story is revolved around her. Um, I I don't know. I was sitting somewhere in the 7.5 range, so I'm gonna just kind of stay on the fence. I'm gonna stay at the 7.5, and um, this is one of those movies like while I thoroughly enjoyed it, I'm okay not owning it, but I'm okay recommending it to somebody. Like I don't need to put this in my collection, but I will absolutely recommend this to somebody. I agree with Clint. This is so far out of the 5 theatrical releases I've seen this year, this is definitely the best one I've seen. With one of them days being the closest competition. Because every time I thought of something like, wait, what's he gonna? Oh, okay, they just answered it. Cool. There was one little like nuancy thing that I was like, for what the goal of this movie is compared to a situation that somebody already is in, it just kind of like felt odd, the whole point of it. But I chose to just kind of suppress that, just to keep enjoying it. Yeah, I thoroughly like this film. Would I watch it again? Absolutely. And like I said, I don't need to own it, but I will go back and watch this at some point, probably on a streaming service of some kind. But yeah, 7.5 for me. So Brian, tell us why we're wrong.
You guys aren't wrong. Everyone I've talked to seems to like it. I just didn't. I didn't really like it. Um, I think part of it is the marketing. Uh,
Mhm.
I I felt like that movie had one good surprise, and it was the highlight of the movie for me for all of like a minute, where I was like, "Oh, that was great," and then I think it became a worse movie near the end. There was a couple clever bits. I chuckled a couple times. I sat there and I was like, the whole time I was like, yeah, okay. But then I constantly kept thinking, but what if I was watching Ex Machina? And I know that's not fair. And I'm probably already getting into. I didn't mean to get into some comparative. It's just because it's a thriller. Um, it's just I don't know. I think the movie. This is just my opinion, of course. Everyone seems to really enjoy this movie, and you'll see it. Like it's fine. It's not like trash. It's not Flight Risk or anything like that. I'm glad this movie's doing well. It's unique. everyone in it is fine except for Jack Quaid. I hate Jack Quaid in this movie. Um, I do not believe this character is capable of anything that happens in this movie. As far as the things that do go well, and it's because he's an idiot. But it's
Mhm.
like maybe too much of an idiot. Like I would have enjoyed this movie if he were a smart character. Like I think that's my big. Honestly, that might be my biggest thing. Is like I get the themes in the movie. I like the themes in the movie. I've liked them more in other movies. I like the editing in this movie. I've liked that more in other movies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's nothing against, I think, this movie in particular. But gosh, I really didn't like Jack Quaid in this movie. And I think it's just because of how unbelievably dumb he acts at every corner. It doesn't seem, I don't think he meshes well with the level this movie is actually trying to be on a plot of. And specifically, it's Iris, its titular character, so to speak, is a fairly smart character. And I enjoy the problem solving and the thriller element of it. And I just don't believe that Josh drags this out for 2 hours. It's like I don't
I
know.
I I think that's not like, while I do like him in the movie, I can see what you mean in that it like his character may like seem to drag things out, like it not supposed to drag things out, but he does in an maybe characteristic way of what he's supposed to. And I think you're just going with kind of where I was going, where his acting style and just his overall demeanor as just a person is just kind of like a nice, lovable, like goofball of sorts, and it almost like doesn't fit, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
If I'm
And
if I'm guessing right.
no, yeah, you're totally right. It's like I think this movie is operating at a level, and a lot of the elements of this movie are at an inconsistent level with that movie. You know, the title and the title cards and score kind of are like this 60s feel, almost like not even like Rosemary's Baby, but like a Valley of the Dolls kind of score kind of thing.
Mhm.
But the movie doesn't emulate that anywhere else. And so there's just some weird choices that feel aesthetically shallow. Maybe there's a point to it. I could see that being a point. Um, but you know, the movie didn't really get me to that point. Um, and like there were moments that our theater, they were like, oh wow, that came back. And I'm like, yeah, rule of threes. Ever watched a movie before? And I feel like I did that a lot. And that's the thing I'll objectively go on this movie for. I think it was a general lack of surprise in this movie. There's a thing that happens, and I was like, whoa, except I know how movies work, you know? It's like, and I don't know, people enjoy it. I think this might be personal just because, and Clint, I'm hoping you at least like maybe you're the one who can like get where I'm coming from, where it's like, I think I've seen too many movies. It's like, when you hit a movie and people like it and you're like, I don't know, it's whatever. This is a whatever movie for me. It's a 5 for me. I don't dislike it. It was fine. You know, I can't wait to get into some spoilers because there were just so many, the things I think that I could get on are really in the spoilers. Um, it was okay. I thought it was all right. Yeah, 5. This is taped up because
No,
I'm going to put Wolfman back
it's
up for the second movie in a row.
don't rip that one though,
No, no,
because
no.
you can send it to me if you don't want it. Um,
I'll bring it over for you.
um, so going into spoilers, thank you. So going into spoilers, yes, Brian, I know exactly what you mean because when you get to that point when you see too many movies, I think that the point that got me, the only surprise in this movie that got me was figuring out that that guy was a robot as well. Um,
Yes,
Harvey Gillian's boyfriend was
Patrick.
a robot. Yeah, Patrick, um, was a robot too. When he froze him, I was like, oh, that's the point I was talking about. I was like, oh shit. I was like, he's a
Our
robot too.
our theater busted out laughing, and I was
Hmm.
with it. I was like, that is great,
Yeah.
so great.
That was the one part that got me. That corkscrew, I figure was coming back sometime, somewhere. I was like, this is what she kills him with. There it was. Um, but I think to your point, Ryan, yeah, he is he is an idiot because what's funny about the whole movie is if you really think about it, is like if he doesn't say goodbye to her, the whole thing works. And I don't think that it's meant to work because he has to say goodbye to his sex bot for some reason. And like even she said, like like his friend kind of even says, like, why are you saying goodbye to this? Like, what are you doing? And I don't. That's the weird part about the whole thing because if like he doesn't wake her up, like the whole thing works.
Yeah.
So
I I just remembered the repitch I had of the movie driving back from the movie. Rachel didn't really like it either. And I was like, I would like the movie to spend more time getting to know these two leads, pretending that they're both human the whole time, not
mm,
knowing that twist. And we don't learn a twist until the 30-minute mark, and B twist until the 45-minute mark or an hour mark, where
mhm.
the murder conspiracy happening, because we're so hooked on the first twist. I would love it if it treated it like it was a 60s slow burn Polanski-esque thriller, and then we're thrown on our head because we didn't know she was a robot, and then we're thrown on our head again because we didn't know he was a bad person.
Right.
And I think the movie could have really sold that. Not to make a comparison, but like I think a direct comparison between a dumb villain who is dumb and who is simple and likable is Hans from Frozen. And it's
Mm.
like, but like what a great little moment where he's like, I'm evil. And I'm like, I didn't know I was 8. I didn't see that coming. Like, you know, but I would have liked that. And I mean, it's not fair to say that that movie should have been a different movie. This isn't like a flight risk where it's fundamentally broken. I don't know. You guys talk more about it.
The two issues I had with it, and you know what? While I'm sitting here saying I enjoyed the movie, Ryan has a great pitch there. I think that is a fantastic plot line to kind of chase after. I think that would have been honestly, while I still like it, I actually would have been interested in that. That like it goes to kind of what we've all been saying. It really should have been marketed where they told us that she's already this AI, she's this robot. I That should have been hidden. That's a absolute flaw in the development and marketing of this movie. Um, but the two things I had issue with, I personally didn't. I didn't like the whole. We are in spoilers, right? We're in that territory. Um, I didn't like. Hey, you just forgot one thing. I can't remember what she said. And then yeah, she does the corkscrew, and I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, that's so probably slow that he would have plenty of time to be like, uh, that just was a hokey thing for me. I choose to just be like, okay, whatever. Blah, blah. That just was me. And that's not even the bigger issue. The bigger issue I had with it was so we learn that this is basically just a heist. This is just trying to get money from what's the character's name? Sergey, who
Yes.
apparently you can make a gajillion dollars on just growing grass, evidently. I mean, sod farmer is what he was actually. And so I think they said the value of what he had in his safe was like $12 million, right? Somewhere, something like that. And I'm like, I'm looking at Jack Quaid, and I'm like, this dude has a car that is runs on its own, basically, can be driven by voice command. And I'm like, that's got to be a substantial amount of money. And up until we learned that he was renting her, we all thought he bought a companion that has got to be a bajillion dollars as well because of how advanced it is and how lifelike she is. And I'm like, this guy can't be doing that bad on his own. Why does he have to rob somebody? And why does he have to, kill any? I just was like, I mean, maybe sure, $12 million is maybe higher than what you would have, but I'm like, it can't be that much where you like morally think I'm going to kill this person and I'm going to do this elaborate thing where I'm going to go through this whole thing where she is really just this pawn in this whole setup. And I just was like, I mean, sure. Maybe it's in a alternate universe where that stuff is super cheap and everybody makes, $500,000 every 2 weeks or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. And 12 million for some reason is still worth something. I don't know. But I just was like, that's weird. Why are we going through all this? Okay, if you said like 200 million, okay, then we're talking a little bit, and then let's make him a little bit more of a, like, okay, just say he's an entrepreneur, or maybe he owns some like theme park or something. I don't know, some weird thing.
Or he could just be a bad person. I know they're like, right. They were like, well,
Or
I never said
or yeah,
he did
that
that. And I'm like, why couldn't he be a bad person?
I agree with that.
I guess it makes them less likable. So, there's
Yes.
that.
Yes, that's probably where they was supposed to be like, yeah, you were supposed to dislike them more. And I'm like, well, I mean, okay, I guess. But still, that was probably the biggest thing I had. Well, that and there was like there was the scene where Sophie Thatcher, she's escaped from the area. She's out and she can't like she's programmed to not lie. And so I thought that was clever, but like as the scene evolves with her and the officer, I just was like, this is not how he would like normally like this is not how an officer would behave. He would like totally like, hey, are you missing some? Or you blah blah blah. And I'm just like, come on, dude, you're not this is the dumbed down moment for me. So I just
Yeah.
was like,
I was a little confused. I mean, I thought it was one of the better moments in the movie because I like the cleverness that she's got to use like a fairly limited amount of resources and skills to kind of cleverly work her way through the situation because she's not like superpowered robot or anything. But at the
yeah.
same time, I was like, he's going to ask you questions and you can't lie. Why don't you just answer his questions? And I get that the movie would probably then say, well, he's going to ask specific questions like, is this your card? She's going to say no. And the movie will work its way into that pocket. But I'm
Right.
like, what do you have that you have to hide where you can just say, hey, I was made to murder somebody and they're back there still. And I have to try to, and like, just be honest with this cop, right?
Yeah,
um,
that's exactly what they would have done. It looks like, she stole a car, like, hey, I stole this car, and then he would have just jumped to conclusions
yeah,
and
he would
then,
have been like,
that would have
okay, stop right there. No more context. He's like, oh,
yeah.
after I killed someone, and he's like, get on the ground. And like, so I get it. The movie would still write itself into that corner. But
But see,
But then
that's
yeah, go ahead,
why
Clint.
I thought that the script was actually kind of clever.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we can sit here for hours and pick apart like how these things could have done differently. I think the catalyst of this script or the events of the movie, I think all kind of turned back to like him saying goodbye to his sex robot. I mean, if that doesn't happen, then yeah, the rest of the stuff doesn't happen either. But on the same token, like you were saying, Ryan, once you get into semantics of everything, like all the things that like could have or should have happened, or like things that are different, I think the script is very tight. Where it's like I think because like you said, it starts to get into this. Well, like all these other things could have happened that would have stopped X, Y, and Z from happening, and I think that's why I
yeah,
like the script so much. The only problem, like my only problem with the movie, besides some of the choices that Jack Quaid makes, is like 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 his and his friend's relationship is never really defined. Like, are they friends? Are they sleeping together? Is she jealous that like, are they jealous of each other for one having a companion robot, and the other sleeping with some Russian guy? Um, like it never really says why. I think that was my problem with the script. That's my only problem with the whole thing is because it's just like they're stealing this money, yes, because like it was his idea to steal the money because he assumed that he was like some Russian gangster. But like what were they gonna do? Like why were they into this together? Like I don't understand like what the whole thing was.
yeah. I'll tell you what I did really enjoy though, when it comes to Jack Wade's performance was when because I didn't really buy like she shoots herself in the head, and I was like a not to say that this wasn't a great movie objectively, but like some movies would have just been like shoot it out, like that's it. That's the rest of the movie. We still got 15 minutes left. This one, I was like, she's fine. Like there's no reason a robot being shot in the head would actually have to like. It's not how building always works. But I like that I thought of that and he didn't. And that was a weird moment to be like, oh, I'm a little ahead of you there because then when they're like, we'll just, like everything important here, we'll just scrub through the footage. I was like, yeah, that tracks. Like that sounds like technology and reading the service agreement. And I like that moment he was just like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
and I thought that was good. I thought that's maybe where the bit of him being an idiot actually came into play. Like,
Mhm.
I think every criticism I have in this movie has some sort of payoff that works. I just wish there had been a payoff that worked for a different. I wish my criticism could exist and fix it, and then it could still have a good payoff, but it wouldn't be the same. So,
Right.
um, and then it goes full T2 Ex Machina, and that's where I was like, I've seen this
Hmm.
with subtler themes.
Yeah. Like, why is she waving at that guy, that girl with like her?
Oh, because of her, because Blade Runner 2049 exists, and
Which
Battlestar
is a much,
Galactica, and
it's a
yeah,
much better movie.
yeah.
Much better movie. Um, do we have any other thoughts on Companion?
Mm-mm.
No? All right. Um, Next week, Love Hurts, I think is what it's called. With Kiwi Kwan.
Yep.
But we just say
Yay!
short. We just say short round around here.
That's true. Because the Goonies apparently showed up to the premiere of Love Hurts with him.
That's cool.
It
Do
is
the
cool
truffle
because
shuffle.
well, he can't anymore. Apparently that
Yeah, I was
guy's
gonna
like
say
a
he can't even do
bodybuilder
that
or
no more.
something. Yeah, he's like a bodybuilder or something. Even Josh Brolin showed up, which is kind of interesting. Good for Josh. Um, this is a short one. You guys don't have anything else?
I mean, I'm gonna be trying to catch both that and Hard Eyes this upcoming week. I'm definitely gonna make that a priority to try and knock out.
Yeah.
So I'll hopefully be able to talk about both. But Love
I
Hurts
think I'm
definitely.
also going to catch both.
What is Love Hurts' runtime?
In like an hour and
Oh wow,
23 minutes.
wow.
Is it
Maybe
really?
I I don't
So the
know
whole
if you
movie's in
guys
the
have
trailer.
noticed that the runtimes, a lot of runtimes have been short. Like I think 3 out of the 5 I've watched this year are like within that hour and a half range.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they got some type of like survey that's like, hey,
Some sort of
keep
memo.
yeah, like don't make 3.5 hour movies.
They all unanimously agreed to give 10 minutes of their body mass to the brutalist.
Yeah.
Too many of them agreed to it.
Probably,
Yeah, I think
probably why it's
when
called The Brutalist.
yeah, I think when I built the playlist for Love Hurts, it was like credits roll at like an hour and 18 minutes.
So, but I'm expecting this to play out kind of like, I mean, it's pretty much, it feels like a nobody kind of esque, very, very similar kind of guy. Like, oh man, he's just this guy. Nope, he's got a history. And then we find out we unfold, we learn the details.
The
So,
details. And his Bond mustache.
yes.
All right. All right, guys. Well, for everybody listening out there, please leave a like, any comment, and please subscribe because we like doing this. So until next week, we'll see you guys later.